Hi, welcome to Conversations and Cocktails. Today's guest is Sheri Hauser, and I know her as very Sheri. She does Love Church here, she does authentic relating around Seattle and marketing. She is amazing. And she chose a very dirty martini because I know Sheri fairly well, and she may be a little dirty, just like her martinis. Mmm. Salty. So we met in 2013.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then we did Critical Northwest, which is a Burning Man event together
Yeah.
was that 2014?
Yeah, when
Which
it was
is-
still at Lark.
That's where I feel like I got to know you, and we're neighbors. So
Yes.
yeah. So 2014, definitely I was in. Not like an acquaintance at that point. Like,
No.
we know each other.
We're camping together.
Yes, it was so much fun. It's
Yeah.
been such a fun journey to get to know you since 2014 to today. And in that time, I know a lot has happened, but you've got so much. Like it's been, again, so much fun to get to know you because I can see all the amazing things that are happening in your life right now. And for me, it's super exciting, and I'm super happy that I get to be part of it. You have Love Church in our cafe. But it's like every first and third Sunday of every month, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so just like from getting to know you and then to being able to, walk into my little
host me
cafe
at your
and see
Yes.
you on stage talking about the things you're passionate about, and having people that have other passions come and just really holding space for a really great community. Love Church, not a church, hashtag. And that, thank you for letting me host you. I appreciate it.
Oh gosh, you kicked it off. You stood on stage and opened the very first show on January 6th.
Well, I mean, I have to say, I had to say, as a hostess, I mean, I had to say, come, you are so welcome here always.
Thank you. You and
Yeah.
Jeff made me feel very at home.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing yourself so authentically with us and the world. And so I'm curious about this. You talk about authentic relating a lot.
Yeah.
And you do, since I met you, you have, for me, I have felt, and I can't imagine that it wouldn't be true, that you are you wherever you go. And I felt like that was true from the minute I met you, and even more so now. And so I'm curious about your authentic relating. I mean, because you already were authentically relating, in my opinion, you may be a little bit more, your energy is a little different. I feel like you're able to control your energy in a different capacity. Like, I feel outpourings of love when I feel like you choose to give me outpourings of love when we're having a hug, and I feel calm when you choose when to be calm, and excited when you choose. Like, I follow you a little bit different energetically than I did prior.
Yeah.
But I still feel like you're your authentic self. I just seem to follow you and respond differently.
Huh.
And so you talk about this authentic relating. And
Yeah.
what does that look like or mean?
Well, it's a practice. And so I should differentiate the fact that early in life, I recognized an opportunity to step into more of myself. And maybe we'll talk about that turning point that I had in life later in our conversation. But it happened in my mid-20s. And it was a very profound realization of the more that I could be. And up until then, there were times where I was trying on identities that weren't mine, based on the people that I hung out the most with, until I found a way to just express myself more fully. And since that time, I'd say that I have been living very authentically. And I went to a retreat on Orcas Island back in 2001, and it was called All My Relations by Joel and Michelle Levy. And one of the exercises they did at this retreat was to have us get into groups and pass around a deck of cards, and each card had a word on it that represented a value that you could have in life. trust, honesty, respect, love, money, health, family. Just imagine all the values in the world. And there were hundreds of them. And you only got given 4. And you had to choose which one to get rid of and pass it to the next person, and you received a new card. And so then, which are you going to keep? And then you pass, and then you receive, and you pass, and you receive, until you couldn't possibly let go of any of these anymore. So we played this game, and 3 of the 4 cards that I was left with are still my values today: authenticity, integrity, and camaraderie. Now, one of them changed out 10 years ago, and I adopted creativity as my 4th core value. So this isn't a new thing, but 2 years ago I found a group of people out of Boulder, Colorado, called Authentic Relating International, and they do these trainings. And I decided to participate because there was an article on relating on the informational level, which is the what and the specifics of your day and what you had for breakfast and what time you're coming home after work, to the personal, how you felt. I felt really full, and I was tired when I got home. And you're adding more context to the information, but the relational level of being in connection with someone is really about being present to what's here and now. So there's no past stories, and there's no future tripping on what hasn't happened yet.
Right.
It's rooted in the here and the now. So I could tell you that, oh, I have some nervous bellies sitting and talking with you right now because I know that there's a camera running, even though we've known each other for years, and I enjoy public speaking. There's like a new thing. So authentically relating at that relational level might mean that I reveal more of my experience to you here and now.
Right. And you lack fear. Right?
No,
Because
I think you do it anyway. I don't think the fear disappears. I don't think it dissolves.
Okay.
I think it's a practice of being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So it's like leaning into the things that are new and learning that edge. And the more I reveal, the more vulnerable I am. It might draw you in. You might lean a little closer. You might be willing to reveal something and share and admit a vulnerable truth that maybe you didn't think you'd be sharing, but we find ourselves in deeper connection.
Right.
You know, the more this happens.
Right. I see you leading that, like I said, in a different way from when I met you. I see you leading that for others and being a good example, and like you said, allowing others to be intimate. And I feel like that's with Love Church. That is one of the things that you're able to do to a large number of people all at once. So even though you and I can do this very well, I think we're skilled at it. Really, I love visiting with you and talking to you about what's going on. Yes.
Yeah.
And the skill that I see in you right now is that you're able to take that level of intimacy and give it to 40 people all at once. You know, you own it and you're sharing it and you're inviting them to be vulnerable at the same time you're being vulnerable. And then not only are you allowing the 40 people to be vulnerable all at once, how you have the skill to do that is beyond me, because doing it one-on-one is different than doing it one-on-40.
Sure.
Right?
And that's leadership training.
Right.
And I'm next week I'm off for 7-day retreat in the Colorado mountains to do level 3 leadership training with art, authentic relating training. And so it is the higher level of not just practicing the work, which the art of being human is the name of the course. But once, you know, I've done some level 1s, level 2, and now this level is about leading the work, is about facilitating the work to other people.
Nice.
And I really enjoy the group facilitation aspect of it. You know, really watching teams of people come alive. I was recently watching some of the videos of early Love Church, and some video was captured of the interactions, and I'd never seen what that looked like because the camera was at the back of Cafe Racer's performance space.
Right.
And I was, you know, off to the side and sitting with one of the groups, and so I didn't see this footage ever before, and I was just watching it yesterday. And I was really struck by the level of engagement of the people in pods at the back of the room playing this values exercise.
Yes, you created that culture. Love Church is your brand. It's your image. You share it. Of course, you share the stage. We've got Piz Menzinski doing like some sermonal stuff.
Totally.
She's the total minister. But it's, you have curated Piz and other people and the people that are drawn to you. So that's you. This is you. What you are watching is a manifestation of you in form. It's amazing. It's awesome.
I'm a little bit floored by your by how you're reflecting that back to me, but I really see it as just the people showing up hopefully for themselves.
Oh.
And I'm merely facilitating the conversation.
It feels so good though to be in your presence. I mean, so being the person who is here at Cafe Racer, people come and go and they want to know, what's this thing called Love Church? And I'm like, you just have to go. Just go and sit in the seat and feel it. And then you'll know, right? It is a feeling, and you've done a great job curating with having speakers come in that have a wide variety of presence and knowledge, and I really appreciate that. And having Piz, who as a comedian came in, I thought that was great.
Yeah.
So you've done a great job, and I just think thank you for holding space for that.
Yeah.
And so another thing that I want to know about is so you had an art store, and you have, just as far as marketing and branding goes, you bring all that you bring to yourself and to people that you work with. You also bring out in the art industry, the marketing and branding and creative artist kind of thing. And so I'm just curious, like, how did you get into that?
Yeah, good question. As a young person, I had the gift of the gab, and I was never afraid of strangers. I could be found. There's a neighbor that tells the story of meeting me. I was 3.5. My parents had moved in down the street, and they were unpacking. And they were still unpacking, and 3.5-year-old Sheri is off down the street, knocking on the doors of all the neighbors, introducing myself, introducing all of my family to whoever's answering the door and asking if they have any kids I can play with.
I love it.
And so Don Duncan tells a story about meeting me at 3.5, and there I was building community. And so I think it's always been just part of who I am. I have one sibling, and she's a couple years older, and definitely an introvert to my extrovert. And so the same parents had very different children, and I don't know why that is, but I'm very grateful that I was given the space to express myself in that way.
Right.
And so growing up and going to business school, and I knew that I didn't want to sort of sell widgets or a product, but that promotion and working in the creative space, something very playful, and that really suited me. So I pursued a degree in marketing. I majored in advertising and sales promotion and found my way to Vancouver. I met a woman who ran an art rep shop. She asked me to help her run the U.S. office 6 months after working for her.
Nice.
So at 23 and single, I moved to Seattle, and I knocked on the door of every ad agency and design firm in town.
Nice. Of
Showing
course
off
you
the
did.
showing off the portfolios of the illustrators and photographers that I represented. And that was really exciting. I got to know a lot of amazing people. I volunteered for the AIGA and the Ad Club and the AMA, local organizations that are in advertising, design, and marketing. My circle widened, and I kept that up for a decade and a half, and until I found my way into wanting to open an art gallery.
So tell me about your art gallery, because I came after the art gallery. Can you just give me just a little teeny.
Well, it's closed now, so I don't like to kind of, go on about, this one time.
Oh, but it was so
I
good.
had this
Everybody
dream.
talks about it. Everybody talks about how wonderful it was. And so I'm sad that I came after.
Yeah. It was a co-creation with my ex-husband. He's an amazing artist and a great visionary. And so we branded the gallery together and painted it and kind of visualized the concept for it. I couldn't have done it on my own. The running of the shop was my job, full-time, and I was there 6 days a week. I started producing a pop-up art show in 2007, and that success of that and then the subsequent ones that I produced gave me the courage to open a store full time. It was a pretty interesting segue from doing one-day pop-ups to having a full-time store, and it was just part of the conversation with my ex around, well, how are we ever going to have this future dream if we don't start building and practicing with a business now? So it happened very fast, like a lot of things do in my life. When the idea becomes clear, I tend to move really quickly into action. Until it's clear, I tend to move very slowly. But when things are clear, it's like a fire just ignites inside of me, and I'm on it. So we had the conversation Thanksgiving of '09, and by December 31st, I signed a lease and was in the space in January, opened March 1st.
Nice.
So it moved very quickly. It was a small 1,000 square foot storefront on Phinney Ridge, and I supported about 200 local artists, local Northwest, a few Vancouver, BC, 75% Washington, 20% Oregon, Portland, maybe some randoms from California as the years went on, and kind of word got around, and some amazing artists showed up, and I wanted to have their work in the gallery, so there were occasional guest appearances from California artists.
So I have to stop because, so one of the things that I was so impressed about was I had a Lauren Harkness on. One of the times I met you. So I have a Lauren Harkness on.
Yeah.
Like, who would know that I have a Lauren Harkness on? Except for the people in my circle. I mean,
Sure.
She's amazing.
She is. She's a great jeweler.
And I'm like, so da-da-da, and you stop and you grab my hand and you say, is that a Lauren Harkness? And I was like, how did you know? Yes. And so I just like, that was one of the, your artists. You've got the local artists down by visual. I just think that's amazing that you have the ability to grab something like that.
Thank you.
So I think
There were about 20 different jewelers, to be fair, so I did. There were
So
a
you
lot
re-
of
you
there were
recognize
jewelers
all
and
of them?
sculptors and painters and textile designers. I had a lot of different mediums
you
in the
just
shop.
you memorized all. So
Just
whenever
it's
you
just a
see it-
look, yeah.
Ah.
It's a style, their craftsmanship,
I
the type
love
of stones
that.
or gems or their signature pieces. I think they're pretty easy to spot. I usually can.
You think they're easy to spot. I'm
Yeah.
here to tell you that, like, I don't. I want to have that kind of mind that has the eye for a specific jeweler, a specific artist. I
Yeah.
just, my husband has the ear. He can tell you who's playing, whatever the genre is.
Uh-huh.
I don't have that skill, so it's not just. It's actually kind of a skill.
Thanks. Yeah, that word "just" kind of bites us in the ass sometimes, doesn't it?
Well,
It's such a diminishing kind of pre-qualifier. And if you listen,
It was just
it's-
20. Just 20. Like, I'm just trying to remember one. Just one visual cue for me with
Yeah.
a name attached. Don't have.
something tells me Jen's not your favorite spirit.
No, that is not true. I really like Jim a
Ah.
lot. But what I like about this specific thing is you are the first person that's ever asked me a question on my show.
Wow.
I know, right? It's an interesting thing. I love that. And at this point, I'm on like 40-something women. So cheers. Let's cheers.
Let's cheers.
And I do like gin.
So I've
I
learned
don't
that
think
it's your
this
second
is
favorite spirit.
Second favorite spirit, and I don't think this is a great gin. Sorry, we need to do more top shelf next time. I think we just have well.
And maybe a little more olive juice.
Yeah, it's very salty.
Yeah, I'm a dirty girl. I like it even dirtier.
Dirty girl. Okay, so
Go.
now that we have learned all about your drive, creativity, and your ability, I mean, social architect comes to mind, just all the things that you're able to do.
Yeah.
I'm really kind of curious, like, where have been your roadblocks along the way? Where are some of the spots that you get stuck? Like, if there's a young woman coming up through the ranks, maybe she's in her 20s and she's watching these things and she identifies to you.
Yeah.
And she says, see, I just think she's wonderful. I want to be her. And then all of a sudden she's going to come, there's going to be a concrete wall, right? She's going to bang up against it. And she's going to say, but that's not what I thought. Sheri was so cool. How could there be a concrete wall? If I was cool, there'd be no concrete wall. What kind of walls have you come up against?
So, Tasty closed. It was math, the name of, the gallery.
Okay.
1 + 1 stopped equaling 2.
Right.
And I learned from my friends' mistakes, and if we're paying attention in life, that's a good way to go. And she closed her business and maybe didn't have an exit strategy, and ended up foreclosing on her house. Just stuff and whatever. And so I was like, I need an exit strategy, right? I need to be able to make an unemotional decision of when to close the business,
Yeah.
because it's so personal to you when you're especially in retail. It's for me, it was such an extension of my identity and my self-expression.
Right.
The flavor in the place, the bake cookies and bring in aromatherapy, and the music that I would play. I would serve tea to my guests coming in that were shopping just because I love tea, and I worked with Mad Hat out of Tacoma and supported their business, and so it was always this stuff. And so I would love to just keep doing that all the time, but a roadblock is, economics. And so one of the things I learned at the time, I was very disappointed. And why didn't the business keep growing? It grew for 4 years and then it didn't grow. And the thing I would exclaim is, but I wasn't doing anything different. And years later, looking back, I can go, oh, I wasn't doing anything different. So a roadblock can be when you think that you're supposed to do everything as an entrepreneur, and there's just some areas where you're going to excel, and there's some areas where other people are going to be better at it than you. And it's getting to that place where you can invest in other people and let go of doing all the things yourself. So I was doing payroll for 80 artists. Doing the books, doing the retail, washing the windows, rehanging the show, doing the website updates, volunteering in the community. Some of those things I should have let go and focused on my strengths to let other people's skills come in and help me rise. So an obstacle there is just myself, really, and thinking small. So bring people in who are better than you at the areas that aren't your sweet spot, and together you'll rise. So I'd say be aware of that. And later I'd say emotional roadblocks too. Things that you might be in denial of, like I pay attention more to my inner body, what my body's saying to me about how I'm feeling. And it guides more of my actions now than it used to.
Nice.
So I was maybe in a bad relationship longer than I needed to be, and maybe that prevented more of my growth or more of my transformation. So I think being aware of that and looking for clues from your close friends and how they're perceiving you. Maybe I wasn't listening to myself and others. So
that kind of got in your way of your
Yeah.
artistic growth and moving forward and being the fucking awesome woman that you are today.
Well, he and I were just talking about this recently, actually, because we got together and had some conversations about things. But yeah, like what I've been able to do in the 2.5 years since our separation has been so expansive. And what I've learned about myself and all of us, our limitless potential.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I feel like I'm advocating for that now in a way that I wasn't before. My priorities have shifted. Yeah.
You're advocating for you and your highest good.
Right.
It's awesome because when you advocate for your good and your highest good, we all get to benefit because, dude, you're rocking.
You know what?
You're fucking rocking.
You're
it's
bigger than that. It's bigger than that. When you're able to slow down enough and create the self-acceptance and self-appreciation
Mm-hmm.
for who you are in the world, when you can see that beauty inside of you, it's what you see in everybody else.
Right. In your eyes, it's me I see. Gina Salah sings this song, and it's like, it's in your eyes, it's me I see. we're in every one of us. In your eyes, it's me I see. And she chants. And so that is, so you are my reflection. That's one of the part of the chant is you are my reflection. So it is. So if you love yourself, you start to love everybody.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Because you see you.
Right.
I mean,
right.
And I'm not to say that, like, when somebody slams their brakes on in front of me, I don't see a fucking bitch or asshole. Sometimes I'm a bitch and asshole and slam on my brakes, too. So I always love when I see good, because there's more good than bad for me.
Yeah, it's true. And one of the great sayings that I got out of authentic relating training is this idea that everything I don't know is contained in the minds of someone else.
Yeah.
And not only does that keep me humble, but it keeps me curious. Right? So now I'm like hunting out, what don't I know? Right? Like what could this other person teach me?
Right.
Right? And so this gets me out of, I mean, I can do small talk like the best of them. But how much more richer is a more meaningful conversation? So I was at a wedding on Saturday night, and the conversation is usually light and breezy, and you're focused on the bride and groom, and aren't they happy, and isn't this wonderful, and all of that's true. But I found myself dropping in with someone who I've known for years, and we had a more meaningful conversation than we've had in 4 or 5 years of knowing each other. And I do credit that to this practice, that I'm a little more fearless about dropping in and being curious about what's happening for them. And even last night, I'm at my friend's 50th birthday party up at the Smith Tower penthouse, and I've known her husband for almost 20 years, and he's doing something new this summer that he's never done before, which is to stay home and not travel. And so I started asking, what have you learned about yourself that you didn't already know? And he revealed some things to me that were just so insightful in telling about him. And it stuck with me. Like today, I was still thinking about it. And this is someone I've known for 20 years, and I learned something new about him. Right?
Right.
So digging in like that is, but it is that awareness about what you can find and see in yourself, you can find and see in others.
Right.
So,
So as
yeah.
we're going deep and
Yes.
into that place,
Yes.
what I want to know is,
Yes.
so from, as a woman, as a female, and from your, as an identified female, and from your culture of origin, how has that helped you or hurt you get to where you're at today?
Yeah. I didn't grow up with any brothers, and I wasn't really raised with cousins who were boys, so in terms of having a close peer circle, I didn't feel ever compared to like, oh, how come he's allowed and I'm not allowed? Or there were boys on the street that I grew up playing ball with, and Red Rover and 500 up and Hit the Bat and stuff in the park. And I never really felt like, oh, I'm a girl so I can't, or I'm a girl so I shouldn't. I know that that's other people's stories, but that wasn't really part of my story. And I grew up in a suburb of Victoria, BC, up in British Columbia, Canada. And my parents were middle class, working class. My dad worked at the newspaper. My mom worked at the Chamber of Commerce, Business Information Center. I didn't want for food or clothes, but I definitely didn't get things that I wanted as a child, toys, the new bike, the latest jeans, like those things weren't accessible to me. I had to work. I had a job. I delivered penny newspapers on Wednesdays. I was babysitting from 10. I took St. John's ambulance so I could, be babysitting for more money at 11. Got a job at Dairy Queen at 13, worked in retail at 16, full-time job right after high school graduation, didn't go to college till later. So how did my culture and being a woman shape me? I did go to this amazing Truth Center kind of Sunday school, and I know now that while they had Christian values and the adult version of this church probably referenced characters from the Bible, the stories that I got on Sundays were typically likened to some story of a deer and a bunny in the woods, and they're going to tell a story about the value of gratitude, about how one did something for the other, or they're going to tell a story about how important it is to be honest, or the importance of friendship. And so I got these lessons every week, and we started every Sunday with the most important thing in life is to be happy. And when you are happy, you make others happy. Have you seen those billboards? Smile, it's contagious. Pass it on. That kind of thing, or
I haven't.
yeah. So it's just this idea that we were talking about it earlier, how sometimes someone else's mood can influence yours.
Right.
And so I grew up believing that the most important thing in life is to be happy. And that when you're happy, you make others happy. And that was a lesson I got from the Sunday school. And so that was part of the culture that I grew up in. And so I didn't really associate that with religion, but that was the closest thing I had to it. I never received any dogma about what's wrong or right or sinning, or so I had nothing around guilt attached to the church. And I think that's how I could grow up and have a playfully call a gathering Love
Right.
Church, hashtag not a church.
Yeah, I love it.
So these values definitely shaped me, and they're definitely a part of who I am today. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so I know, your life is so full and so big. I want everybody to know how they can find you and how they can come and join your Love Church and how they could find you if they wanted you for marketing and strategic planning, moving their business forward, or how they could find you as a coach, authentic relating. So how can people find you and get to know you and work with you?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Everything is linked to verysheri.com.
Very.
VERYSHERI.
Okay.
So verysheri.com, there's a page for Love Church. There's a page with my podcast series. It's called The Unraveling. And this is where it's a 20 episode podcast series. And I'm just starting to publish them. There's a couple on there now, but there's 18 more in production. And I'm really giving a nod and the stage to the people that have shown up to guide me through this transition that I've been on this past 2.5 years. That's there. My words about my consulting practice is there. So I haven't yet linked to Authentic Relating Training, but that's authenticrelatingtraining.com. And I'll have a page there after my leadership program ends that links to more of that work.
Nice.
And, speaking of the Truth Center and Authentic Relating Training, all these things are kind of coming back around this work that I'm doing. Like, it's all, like, aligning. And I've been invited back to speak at the Truth Center on Thanksgiving Sunday up in Canada.
Nice.
On October 13th. Thank you. So
Yes.
if anyone from my hometown is watching this, they can come to the Truth Center on Sunday, October 13th at 11 a.m.
Nice.
and hear me talk about the importance of values.
I love it.
Yeah.
And so and Love Church is on Instagram under Love Church.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, on
and
Insta.
Facebook as
Yep.
well.
Facebook, yep. Hashtag not a church.
It's a
And the same on Insta.
okay.
Not
perfect,
a church.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, this is so great. Thank you so much.
You're
I
welcome.
So appreciate it. Give me a hug. I want a hug.
Wow.
Oh.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you. Yes, yes, yes.
Happy to be here.